So Artlist have officially released Artlist Studio, a full AI cinematic workflow that conveniently places everything that we need in one location. Full disclosure off the top, yes, this is a sponsored video from Artlist, but you know how I tend to do these things. If something works, I'll say it works, and if something needs polishing, I'll say that too. And I mean, in this case, there's stuff on both sides. Which way does it lean heavier? Well, let's head into the studio to find out. Kicking off, I have partnered with Artlist a few times already, but just in case you need to get caught up, yes, they have very much entered the creative AI game in a pretty big way. First, introducing AI Toolkit, which is a really robust collection of all of the latest image and video generation tools available. On the image side, everything from Nano Banana Pro. They just added in GPT Image 2. And yeah, once again, they have their own Artlist original and, basically like everything else that's available. On the video side, of course, we have everything from Seedance 2.0. VO3 is in here, Kling, of course, 3, and the Omni model, and even Sora 2, for now at least, RIP Sora. There is, of course, some voice stuff in here as well from ElevenLabs. Minimax is in here, and Sonic 2, which I have not played with. I'm going to have to check this one out. And on the music side, as I previously covered a few videos ago, they are utilizing Lyria 3 Pro from Google. This model really took me by surprise. I'm actually really impressed with Lyria 3. So the big launch here is Artlist Studio, where they're kind of bringing all of this stuff together into a simplified workflow. So the overall idea here is that you don't have to bounce around a bunch of different models, tabs, and different UIs. Essentially the idea here is that this allows you to stay in the creative flow state. Additionally, you don't have to worry about trying to maintain consistency with characters, voices, or locations. Now, as I often say on the channel, is it perfect? Well, no, it is not. But there is some really smart stuff baked in here that we're going to go through and, honestly gives some room for Artlist Studio to grow and inevitable updates. But for now, here's a quick thing that I put together with it, and then we'll run through essentially how it was accomplished.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You're an NPC.
I'm a what now?
Non-player character. Want me to prove it?
I think I'm a player.
How are you with first-person shooters?
I'm not very good and I don't like this!
Are you not good at spaceship games either?
I think I like being an NPC!
A good reminder that we are all main characters in the RPG of our lives while simultaneously being an NPC in everyone else's. But, short as this example was, it does go to illustrate that we did end up with consistent characters and voices across technically 4 scenes. So popping into Artlist Studio to see how this was done, the UI is visually pretty good. Everything makes a lot of sense. There are 2 tabs up here, one for framing and the other for directing, or basically image and motion respectively. But here's where things get pretty interesting because we have these 3 tabs over here. And if we come down to the second one, this is our character tab. The whole character section is pretty ideal in my opinion. Essentially, it's like your own little version of central casting. Artlist does provide a number of templated characters here. Actually, it provides a lot of them in all honesty. But obviously most of you are probably going to be more interested in creating your own character. So I ended up grabbing Pinky Punky. Yes, that is a really stupid name. She was a character that was generated up in Midjourney 6.1. This is like during the whole time when we were trying to slide past Seedance 2.0's face filters, which does seem to have lightened up quite a bit. But as it turns out, I ended up kind of liking Pinky Punky. So if we just import her in by dragging her in, you can see that we actually have 2 choices here. We can either go inspiration only, or you can do match exactly. Of course, we're not going to go through all of this and not do match exactly, right? From here, we can add in more character details if we want to. In our case, I just put a spunky and punky female character with a lot of charisma. You can probably prompt for some other like clothing or outfit ideas if you want to here as well. And then you can actually generate up to 10 different images. I think that 10's pretty overkill. I would say between 3 and 4 is probably the way to go. Go ahead and hit generate. And of course, we do end up with 4 different images from different angles of our character. She actually looks slightly improved over the Midjourney 6.1 base image. So again, it was a Midjourney 6.1 output. From there, we actually can choose our character's voice. Now, I ended up choosing outgoing and friendly for this character. Let's take a quick listen.
Here's a sample of my voice. Listen to get a feel for my tone, texture, subtle nuances.
So for our secondary character, I ended up using one of Artlist's templated characters. I mean, he is the NPC. It kind of makes sense, right? So this is Calvin. Calvin is, as his voice describes, charismatic and smooth. Isn't he so? The thing about the voice is, if you don't like the voice that Studio essentially assigns, if you go into See All here, there's like a ton of different options that you can pick from. And then when you start getting into the sub, menus here, you're just going to find a bunch more options. So, I can almost guarantee you that somewhere in here, you're going to find a voice that resembles what you're looking for your character. Now, I know someone out there is going to ask. Yes, custom voices are coming soon. So that, obviously will allow you to really fine tune the exact voice that you're looking for. And then finally, in our third tab, we of course have locations. This works very similarly to the character feature in that, we can either choose one of the templates here, or we can upload your own image reference or do a text prompt. Essentially, the way that this ends up working is that it will generate up multiple sort of angles of your location for your image editor to use, as reference material to, place your characters within the environment. So this kind of gives something for Nano Banana is likely what everyone's using, a couple more viewpoints and options for the banana to grab hold of. So now that we have our characters and our locations, we can then move into framing, or essentially, first frame, Nano Banana creation. So the way that this works is, fairly standard with a library type thing. If you hit @ you have all of your characters and locations available to you to punch in. And then, from there, it's just a matter of prompting out, of course, what your characters are doing in the image. You can see, of course, here, we can add in more characters if we want to, or even add in different locations and do image referencing here as well. There is also an enhanced prompt option for you here, and something else interesting we're going to take a look at a little later on. We actually have some options here for, different angles, of course, that you want your image to take place in. The shot type is also here as well. And then we have some options for lighting as well. Some deeper options are available to you here, including your model picker. Here, I do appreciate that they have options to choose the model that you want. A trend that I have been seeing lately on a few platforms is that they choose for you without letting you know which one they're using. I do not like that. The other thing I do want to shout out Artlist for is that they are very good with letting you know, the credit cost of each model. This is another trend that I am not a fan of. So for example, in Nano Banana Pro, that is 400 credits. In 2, it will run you 300 credits. GPT Image 2 is 40 credits. Wow, that is pretty cheap. And then in Flux 2 Flash, it is 30 credits. There are a few, and I'm not naming anyone, but they'll often let you spam the generate button without being clear about that. So it feels like you're getting a free edit, but the bill is racking up in the background. Rounding out for Nano Banana Pro, which I think is the model best suited for doing this type of work, you can choose to generate in 2K, 4K, or 1K. I do recommend 2K for this. 4K tends to be, it's overkill, kind of smooths things out too much, and essentially you're not really buying too much, considering that the highest raster size that you can generate in is 1080. So my recommendation is 2K. Interestingly, 2K is 400 credits and 1K is 400 credits. So it's in your best interest just to stick with the 2K there. Lastly, we do have options for camera and lens control here. So there's a couple of different options. There's like a Red Raptor here, an RELX 35, VHS camcorder, Apple iPhone, and then on the lenses, an RE a Sigma, a Cook, and a Helios. There's a Lomo here as well. The thing with these, and I've discussed this on the channel in the past, What these really are is a hidden prompt behind your prompt that calls for the characteristics of that camera or lens type. It's there if you want to experiment, but I also think it's important to know that you aren't necessarily going to get a one-to-one of like an Arri Alexa 35 and a Sigma lens here. Again, this is something more of kind of a template within your prompt that is calling for the characteristics of that lens and camera. Although, again, honestly, you can achieve the same through your own prompt. So really, at the end of the day, maybe it's just a typing time saver. Well, I mean, again, it's here if you want to experiment with it. And lastly, we do have aspect ratios of, well, 1:1 to 16:9. Sadly, no 21:9 or 2:1, which I do want to see them add, as that is my preferred aspect ratio for Seedance stuff. Speaking of which, on the video or directing side of things, we have a few different approaches we can take here. So the most obvious ways that we can use our initial image as a start frame, as I did over here. You know, prompt style, you can use your standard prompt format as you choose. Here we use the timed version of a Seedance prompt. We, once again, do have our enhanced prompt over here, and our selection up here for Seedance, Kling, Kling 2.6 or Grok. I do want to mention a little bit of warning here, particularly at 1080. It's very pricey, so keep that in mind. It is a credit burner. Generally, yes, it is a very good model and you will get very good results, but you know, also sometimes you'll get stuff like this.
This is intense!
Get down! It's not a game!
Which actually is not necessarily a bad generation. It's also just not what I asked for. So, you know, I do recommend, you know, don't sleep on models like Kling, which can get you very good results as well for, you know, less cost. Grok is another one that is slowly becoming more and more impressive and, you know, significantly cheaper. Just as an experiment, I gave this a shot with the laundromat background, and in Grok Imagine, this was the result.
What? Just because we're AI generated doesn't mean we don't do laundry?
So sure, there are some slight lip sync issues that are going on with Grok, but again, I think it's like an update away before it really starts turning some heads. And again, do notice we did get the consistent voice there. So yeah, another plus side for experimenting around with different models on Artlist Studio. Once again, we do have our various called out shot types as well. Handheld, pan left, pan right, tilt up, tilt down. Yeah, I mean, you get the drill. The thing that I actually do think is pretty interesting is up here in structured prompts. So this is kind of fascinating. I mean, I think that most of us tend to, you know, write our prompts via an LLM. That's no secret. You know, AI talking to AI. But every once in a while, I mean, I just like to kind of go freehand. And that's what this structured prompt kind of allows you to do, is that it breaks things down into subject, character, location, action, composition, etc., and allows you to fill things in. So yeah, it's just a neat option. For the timeline below, to be honest, this is more of a shot list. You don't have much control over here. You can, you know, move things to and fro and rearrange things, but like you can't, you know, trim clips down here. These are just like the full clips, you know, laid out sequentially. So you will still need to go into your nonlinear editor for Final Cut. That said, one thing I do like about this is that as you're kind of scrubbing through your timeline here, if you see like a shot, you can actually just click new shot from here, and then that will actually populate into, well, new shot. And that is something that is actually very handy for cross-cutting within a scene. Oh, and lastly, there are some experimental and kind of interesting things that you can do within this, particularly like that transition shot that you saw in the piece. The way that I ended up doing that was actually creating two different locations within the prompt. So that seemed to cause that like warp distortion effect. Now, I do have to note that this doesn't always work perfectly, as we'll see in this example.
How are you with first-person shooters?
I'm not very good and I don't like this!
It almost got there, but just not quite. So there's definitely some very interesting and undocumented things that we can play around with within the Artlist Studio interface. So yeah, I mean, overall, again, there's some really smart stuff in here and there is some room for improvement, but that's where we come in. Artlist Studio is pretty fresh out of beta, like within the last week or so. So believe me, they are not done yet. There's going to be a lot of improvements, features, and UI tweaks that are going to be made. And while technically, I do have to say that everything that we did today here could also still be done on the AI Toolkit side right now. The aim and the goal here is to build something that, keeps you in a seamless flow state. This is a team that wants to build a great platform for you guys to use. So do let them know in the comments what you'd like to see in terms of features and developments. Obviously they will be taking a look at the comments, but I will obviously be passing them along as well. And obviously I will be keeping an eye on Artlist Studio and letting you know how things develop. In the meantime, if you are interested in checking out Artlist Studio, it is available now at the link down below. As always, I thank you for watching. My name is Tim.